Hello, this is Jen Gibbs with Utah Shores Real Estate Services, and I'm here today with my friend and attorney, Brent Ripley. So thanks for joining me and giving a couple minutes of your time. I wanted you guys to be connected to a great resource. Brent specifically focuses on estate planning, wills and trust and that kind of thing, and I want to make sure that you guys feel like you have a trusted resource and someone that you can go to with questions on those kinds of things. I will tell you that in one of our first discussions, you hear nightmares about probate and that kind of thing, and you want to always protect your property from probate, and you have told, you've made it seem like more attainable to handle that kind of thing. It's not that bad if you have someone to kind of walk you through it. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. In general, for more large and complicated estates, probate's an important thing to try to avoid if you can, just because you're going to have a lot of hang-ups that you wouldn't otherwise have. But probate in Utah is not a nightmare, and if you do have to go through probate, it can be managed well. I prefer to have my clients avoid it if we can, and we don't use a will unless we really have to. We'd much rather use a trust, but there are worse things for sure.
Okay. Well, that's good, and I appreciate being able to know that we can get some great advice on how to be set up properly. So everybody knows that they kind of probably should have a will. They may be less familiar with trusts. Can you give us a quick, like the bullet point version of the differences?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
So the best way to think about the difference between a will and a trust is to put yourself in the position of buying real estate.
Okay.
So if you go in to buy real estate and the seller comes to you and the seller's signing a deed, but the signer of the deed is not the actual seller on the deed, you're going to have problems, right?
Okay.
I mean, the seller has to sign the deed.
Okay.
So people don't think about what happens if the seller's dead. How can the seller sign a deed and transfer real estate from them to a buyer if they're not alive to sign the deed? Right. So the temptation might be to have a child come and sign the deed for them, but that can't happen. There's no closing agent, there's no title company, there's no bank that's going to lend.
They don't have the authority to do that.
Yeah, on property that's done that way. So that has to go through the probate system, right? In order to have somebody with authority to transfer property from somebody who's dead and to act on behalf of the dead person and transfer that property, they have to go to the probate court.
Okay.
So that's what a will does. A will ensures that you go through probate because the probate court is going to validate the will and make sure that it's legal.
Okay.
A trust avoids that because with the trust, you transfer the property to the trust while you're still alive.
So the trust never dies, so
That's right.
There's always going to be a signer.
That's right.
So it's the
Exactly
shortcut.
Right. It's the shortcut.
And for me too, it's an emotional cost. Like you want to line this out ahead of time for the people that will be left behind to deal with all this because you don't want to be dealing with attorneys and trying to set all this up when you're still like in the process of having lost someone or when other people around you, if it's you that's missing.
Well,
it's a kind thing to do to set yourself up properly.
It is, and it's especially important if you have young children. The last thing most people want is for those young kids to get all of their money when they turn 18.
Right.
So if you're leaving them life insurance or real estate or business interests or whatever, typically you're going to want to spread that out over time, and we can do that in a trust, and it's only.
And you can say at this age the kids will get this percentage or this amount, based on your life insurance. And I, when I originally had set my own trust up, I specified like my kids need to, read XYZ books, but so they have a mindset before they get this next, chunk of change. So, so there's really some things you can do to make sure that your specific wishes, particularly for children that you might leave behind, are followed through. And so, if you have questions, I'm sure you will. There's lots and lots of questions. It's a complex process, but Brent can simplify it down for you and kind of really go through specifically your own individual situation. And if they want to connect with you, Brent, what is the best way?
Send me an email at brent@jamestownwealth.com, or you can connect to my Facebook at Brent Ripley, Estate Planning Lawyer, or call me at 801-377-9787.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I'll go ahead and include that information in the link below so you guys can easily go ahead and get in touch. And do you do other kinds of law besides estate planning?
No, my practice is limited to estate planning.
Okay, there you go. You have the expert and the specialist right here. So thanks so much. I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to explain what you do and to have someone that you guys can know is kind of an insider friend of mine that I would recommend and trust for those kinds of needs. So thanks very much. Again, this is Jen Gibbs with Utah Shores, helping you move forward.